The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we're webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. I'm sitting here hugging a box of Legos because it's the Festival of Toys. And this morning, our toy of the hour is the fabulous Lego. Now, this particular Lego we're going to be giving away tomorrow morning. You have until tomorrow morning to be emailing me. Two things you need to do. You need to sign up for our free email list. You do that on autism-live.com. Up at the top, click on there's a little link on the whiteboard that says join our email list. What will happen when you do that is you'll get our free newsletter and a weekly message telling you who's going to be on the show. It's a wonderful thing to have, and as I mentioned, it's free. It will also make you eligible to enter the contest. You must be on our email list in order to enter the contest. Then when you see a toy that's a toy of the hour that you would like to win, what you need to do is email me, s.penrod. Yes? My microphone is rubbing against stuff. All right, let's get this right. There we go. We're live. Fun things happen live. Okay, so I want you to be able to hear this. So you also need to be able to email me at s.penrod@autism-live.com. That goes directly to me. Tell me which toy you saw, which toy of the hour you saw, why you want it, and who you want it for. You must include your mailing address so that I have an address to mail it to, right? And if you do all of that, you will be entered to win. Now, this is a particularly fabulous Lego, but all Legos are fabulous. And I will tell you that we have a bunch more Legos to give away in the next couple of weeks, and some of them are very girl-centric. This could be for a girl or a boy. It is the base camp, an Arctic base camp. This is a lot of little pieces to put together. This is particularly fabulous for our kids who are into engineering. There are so many things you can do with a box of Legos, honestly. You can work on colors and matching and sorting. You can work on numbers. You can build on block construction. You can work on imitation. They tend to be very social as the kids get older because kids get together and build things. You can be creative with them. My son, we have the rule that he has to put it together according to the instruction booklet first. So he's learning to follow instructions and look at pictures and match things. And then once he puts it together by the instructions, then he can do whatever he wants with it. And honestly, the things that he does afterwards are amazing. He takes it all apart and puts it together in a way that's truly, truly remarkable. I always remember a Christmas in which I spent the morning putting together a Star Wars spaceship while he put together something a few feet away from me that was much better than what I did following the directions. My mother laughed at us for hours. But Legos are truly one of the most amazing toys for our kids on the spectrum. They are very socially appropriate. They're absolutely remarkable. This is a tremendous gift for any child. So write into us if you would like to win this particular Lego. Okay, now this is Wednesday, so we have a lot to cover today. In just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by Dr. Doreen Granpeche. She's here to answer your questions live. I know that you guys are writing those in on the live feature now, but I want for Kelby to show you some of the different ways that you can participate with us here and other ways that you can be writing into us. While he's doing that, I will remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com. So much to do, so much to see when you go there. Don't forget to check out the blog today. In the second hour today, when we have Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson and I are going to be showing you an amazing app that we think you're really going to love for all of your kids who are pre-readers and beginning readers. Truly, truly fun. I'm talking about Reader Bee, an award-winning toy that we're going to feature in the next hour. And we're also going to feature the recipe that's on the blog and some pretty amazing stories in the news as well. well. One that's going to tug at your heartstrings, I know. So all of that is coming up, and you can watch all of that on that live feed that's at autism-live.com, and you can be participating. If you notice on that site, to the side of the live feed, there are a series of white boxes. Put your cursor in the one that says your question, start typing, hit enter, and that's all you have to do. There is no login, there is no password, there is no entry fee, there is no asking for a credit card number or even your address. It's completely anonymous unless you choose to disclose to us a way to get back to you. We appreciate it when you do if there's something that you need, so we don't have to chase you down. We can't chase you down. We don't know how to find you unless you tell us where to find you. But we also, you don't have to tell us who you are. You can ask your question anonymously. That's fine too. We do ask that you give us pertinent information, especially if you're looking for services. If you tell us what the biggest major city close to you is. That way we can, I wish I could say that autism services are the same throughout the world, but they're not. And that way we can effectively tell you what's close by you. All right, it is time. I'm so excited. It's time for Ask Dr. Doreen.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
Welcome to Ask Dr. Doreen, and welcome to Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Thank you. Good morning.
So thrilled to have you back with
pleasure,
us.
always.
I've got this huge Lego box between us.
Wonderful. It looks so fun.
I'll remove this in a few minutes. But I hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving break.
I did. Thank you, and you as well.
I did. We had a really good break, and thrilled to be back, though. So much to be done. You guys have been writing in, and we love the opportunity to sit with Dr. Grand-Pichet and have us answer our questions, because if you watch the show, you know that she is a true expert in the field of autism.
Thank you, Sharon.
And a visionary in this field. You've been working in this field for more than 30 years, and we all are so grateful for your presence and your words and your wise words. We do like to remind everybody at the start of the show, though, that no one on this show in this format could give individual specific advice.
Right.
It just isn't conducive to that. As an expert, you need to be able to spend time with an individual to give a true opinion about something that's happening with them. But having said that, you give us so much information that leads us in directions where we can get to more resources and more help and more support.
That's our goal.
Well, I know from the letters that we get back that you are achieving that every
wonderful.
week. So that's an amazing thing. I'm going to jump right in to some questions.
Yes.
Shannon and Dr. Grand-Pichet, first off, I want to say I love your show, and we love you.
Thank you.
It has truly helped pick me up on some of my hard days with my beautiful son. I watch the show for guidance, and most importantly, as a reset button tool for myself. I'm writing to ask about autism aggression. I have used the ignoring technique with my autistic son, who is 4 years old, but he still continues to hit me. Sometimes out of the blue, it seems for no reason. Is there another technique? I've attempted this approach consistently with no success for about 3 months. He is only around me. When he hits, I block and walk away. Is there a plan B when this doesn't work? It seems to be getting worse. Again, I appreciate your feedback. Happy holidays and God bless.
Thank you for that. And I don't remember our prior conversations, but I'm sure at some point we advised you to go that route. So, whenever something doesn't work, and next time, please don't wait 3 months. You don't have to wait that long. We need to revisit what the function of the behavior is. In other words, why is he hitting you? So that's a really important thing. And usually hitting is done for the purpose of gaining access to something or avoiding something. Those are the main things. So usually we'll place a demand on our children, and then they'll be like, for instance, it's time to get up and go get ready for bed. And they will hit because they don't want you to interrupt what it is they're doing. and they don't want to comply with what you just asked. The other reason could potentially be they want to gain access to something, a toy or something, and they can't really verbalize it, nor can they understand that they need to wait or it's not theirs. And they will hit in order to gain access. Of course, a lot of our kids also will, unfortunately, learn that they can hit in order to get attention. And that's usually because that has been the most effective way of getting attention. So why don't we go back and identify what the function is? And I think instead of me trying to guide you step by step on how to do a, indirect functional assessment, you should just go online and look at our CIFA, which is there, and it's for this purpose. The CIFA is the card indirect functional assessment, and it will tell you how to, it'll ask you a bunch of questions about the behavior, the setting, how you typically, when it occurs, what are the types of situations wherein this behavior increases. Is it only towards you? Is it towards others? All that sort of stuff. And it'll help identify possible functions. And then when that happens, you can also then link to the BIP builder, which is the behavior intervention plan builder. And that software system will tell you, 20, 30 different types of interventions that will help you. So I would suggest you go that route, and in order to get to the CIFA, you can go on Skills, of course, which is skillsforautism.com, and there should be a place where you can go in for CIFA, C-I-F-A, or you can go on BIP Builder, is that what the...
It's skillsbipbuilder.com.
Skillsbipbuilder.com, and there will be a tag for the CIFA. CIFA is sort of the first stage, is the assessment to identify why a behavior is happening.
We've had a lot of questions lately about people asking, does the skills free trial still exist? And I did some homework on this. It does still exist, but what it is that when everyone who signs up for skills gets 14 days free. So when you go to skills, you'll sign up, you will need to put a credit card in, and for 14 days, you get a free trial. On the 15th day, you will be charged. So be aware of that.
Just cancel it if you're not interested.
Right. If you see that it's not what you thought it was or what you need at this moment in time, you can cancel it. But I think it's really worthwhile to go in for 14 days. Make sure that at least a couple of those days you've got a couple of minutes to go around, because the thing about skills is that it's huge. It's mammoth. It's a tool. Like, I love tools. I'm one of those girls that I love to go to Home Depot and see the toolkits that they have.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that a fun thing? And when you get a toolkit and you see that it's got all the different sockets and the things in it, I don't know what all those things do, and I'm probably never going to use all of those in my life.
Right.
But I appreciate that they're there, and I might need them at some point. But usually when I get a toolkit, there's like something that's really functional for me in the beginning. Same thing with skills. You want to tootle around and see, ooh, it's a big toolkit. There's a bunch of things. I don't need all these tools right now. What do I need right now? And then focus for at least a day on that tool that you think you need. There are so many things to do in there. So the CIFA is just one of them.
That's right.
But I really encourage everybody to spend a couple of minutes looking at the BIP Builder and the CIFA, because when you go to that little drop-down menu where you look what the function of a behavior is to plug in, that in and of it's an education.
It'll give you a ton of ideas that you haven't thought about. Yeah.
You go, I'm gobsmacked, as they say. There's so many things there.
It is absolutely amazing. Yesterday we were meeting and talking about, I don't remember what it was, some aspect of skills that we're adding to. And I said, oh yes, I remember now. It was that, we've been trying for years now to add exemplars or complete the addition of exemplars. Exemplars are, so when in skills is broken by the top level of skills is what we call domains, and domains are just areas of instruction like language, cognitive, play, motor, etc. Those are domains. And within those areas, then there are sort of lessons, and the lessons would be things like, let's say, actions or nouns or verbs or whatever they are. It's different prepositions, pronouns, and so on and so forth. And within those, then there are SDs. And the SDs are, for instance, if you're doing prepositions, one SD would be, put something on top of something else. put something next to, put this object on, under, and so on. That would be one ST. Another ST would be give me what's under, point to the top of, or that sort of thing. So it would be different ways of teaching the same skill. And then within those are exemplars, and exemplars are all the different ways. For instance, if I'm teaching an ST, which is placing one object in relation to another object, my exemplars would be things like under, on top, above, behind, next to, and so on. So those are exemplars. And colors is an easy example. All the colors are exemplars. And I was saying, we've tried very hard to put in as many exemplars as samples for our parents and professionals to use when they're teaching kids. Colors might be an easy one because you can list 20 colors and you're more or less done, although you can get crazy with the colors.
Right.
But most exemplars are infinite, right? There's so many things, like I can't, not really infinite, but I don't want to sit there and teach my child every single verb that exists.
Right. You're hoping that at some point we get to generalization before we need to get there.
Exactly, and that's response generalization, which is very important because our kids actually start to learn things on their own. So, but that aside, as we were discussing this, I said to the crew that was with me, if we were able to do the BIP builder, we're able to do this because the BIP builder, honestly, and the CIFA are just a million different options of different functions and different interventions that go along with those functions. Sometimes when I go to the BIP builder and I put in just a single function of a single behavior, I'll still get 40 different options of intervention, and it's a lot of choice. But we specifically wanted to do that because we want to make it so that parents, it fits your lifestyle and you can carry through with some of these things. For instance, with this parent who had said, I have tried to block it and walk away, well, that would potentially work if it was an attention function, but I don't know what happens next. Even if it is an attention function, he might be following you and hitting you still, which he's still getting your attention. The other, and by the way, if you're blocking it, that might be enough attention. On the other hand, it could very well be that he's trying to gain access to something, and by you blocking it and walking away, you're not meeting the need. You're not meeting what he actually is trying to intend to get across to you. So, you'd have to identify the function. Identifying the function makes the intervention effective.
Yeah, absolutely. But definitely check out the CIFA. You can do that at skillsforautism.com. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be back to answer more of your questions with Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh. Stick with us.
Hi, I'm Lisa Ackerman. Welcome back to Talk of Facts. We hear questions all the time, and we want to give you the answers that help make your journey in autism easier and more navigatable. Less than a year ago, we interviewed the top 100 doctors in the United States working with children on the spectrum, and we asked them a question in the cloak of secrecy. What are the top 3 mistakes parents living with autism do? Number 1, and the one that makes me laugh the most, is when they use their physician as a marriage and family therapist. 1, the doctors told me it made them uncomfortable, and 2, they were highly unqualified to provide that type of advice. So the night before your physician appointment with your MAPS doctor, get together with your spouse, significant other, and write out the list of the targets and the agenda that you want to cover at the physician's appointment. Get in sync. Then you'll be definitely spending less time and not making that doctor so uncomfortable. Second thing that was the most common mistakes parents living with autism make is they want to go too fast. And really, you want to pace yourself in the autism journey. We all know that we want to get our kid to be the best they can be and hopefully recover from autism. And what a lot of the doctors have told me is that you want to really pace yourself. 1, to let the labs be your guide, and 2, work with your physician on the prioritization and the delivery of the different medical interventions. The third most common mistake they felt families made was giving up too soon. And what you need to know is they're invested, they're looking at wanting to get the best from your child. But I tell you that when I got that and consolidated the 100 interviews with these physicians, most of the doctors who brought that up had tears in their eyes. They want you to know that they're in the fight with you, and they want you to know that hope is really real. It may take hard work and it may take time, but to not give up and to stay in the game. So let TACA help you. We'll have some more TACA facts for you in the future, real questions and real answers for the autism journey.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We are here during a segment we call Ask Dr. Doreen. Dr. Doreen Grant-Pichet is here with us answering your questions. And there are lots of different ways you can be writing into us. You can send email, especially if it's a long question. We appreciate email to s.penrod@autism-live.com. You can be writing into us on Facebook and on the live feature. We have questions from all three of those this morning. So I want to take one from Facebook.
Sure.
From a grandmom. She says, as a grandmother of a high-functioning Asperger child, how can I deal with his mother, who is also Asperger, although never diagnosed? I see all the traits in her, and I feel so bad that we had no idea what we were dealing with 15 plus years ago. She shuts down and is so easily overwhelmed and gets very unfocused on special interests. She is brilliant and talented, but can't always function. How can I help them both? Does this run in families, and what help is there for autistic adults? I feel for this grandmother, but how wonderful that she's asking this question now.
It's absolutely lovely. It does run in families, obviously. There is a genetic component to this. Asperger's is very difficult to help because, especially in an adult, because they've developed various, I guess, patterns of behavior that have helped them get through life. Not defense mechanisms necessarily, but sort of survival mechanisms.
Yeah, like coping
mechanisms,
yeah.
Right. And I think the best, instead of trying to help your daughter directly, I would suggest reading some books and material that might help you gain a much broader understanding of Asperger's, and perhaps give yourself a little bit of time to see the world the way an individual with Asperger's does. And then I think you might be able to help them organize and help them achieve some growth in the areas they find difficult for themselves. So there's a lot of material on Asperger's. What is the Australian guy that I like? Tony Atwood. Tony Atwood, in my mind, does the best description of Asperger's and the best also intervention. He's got a lot of books on how to deal with individuals with Asperger's. But I would start with looking up on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever, for any basic books from Tony Atwood on the concept of, Asperger's syndrome. And it won't be called Asperger's anymore now, by the way, but it's just part of ASD, but it shouldn't be. It's quite a different thing in my mind. So I would start looking at that. Where do we have other material that you can refer to for Asperger's that's kind of helpful?
One of the places that I always refer people to is wrongplanet.net, which our friend Alex Plank created. And not only is there good information there, but you can connect with people who are very high functioning and their coping mechanisms work for them within the world, and ask questions of them. I mean, people who are at the top of their game, the top of their field, and who have found ways to just make it work.
Right.
And that's a fascinating thing. You can start having conversations with them about, it's different. I think the coping mechanisms, from what I hear, are different for everyone. But when you see the way people make it work, I don't know, it's inspirational, and I think it jumpstarts the idea that, okay, there is a way. I just have to figure it out.
There's no question there's a way, and individuals with Asperger's have strengths that are pretty significantly different than our strengths, and they use those strengths. They've figured out how to use those strengths to their benefit, which we all do. And so you need to be there's a different. The way that I look at autism versus Asperger's is that, autism is pretty debilitating in the sense that it doesn't allow you to survive. Really, you will need a caretaker. You cannot survive independently as someone with autism, whereas Asperger's, it's almost like, you can survive. Not only can you survive, you can thrive. We have individuals in the world leading certain areas that clearly have Asperger's. People talk about Einstein having had Asperger's. And so you can survive. It is somewhat tough on, I think, some individuals with Asperger's because maybe the people around them or themselves are trying very hard to fit them into a mold that we call normal. And I don't know that I want to do that. Like, I think as long as, in my mind, nothing is really a disorder unless it prevents you from succeeding socially, academically, I don't know, in the world.
Yeah.
It's not a disorder, and I've always said that the definition of a disorder is that you can't function in your normal life. And so what is a normal life? Someone who lives in the Himalayas has a normal life, and I have a normal life, and they're quite different from each other. So if you're able to find the circumstances within which you can thrive and live happily, then you're fine. Then you're good to go. If your daughter is having issues, make sure they're issues she's having and not concerns you have for her. We see things quite differently. Sometimes our Asperger's people or people that are receiving help from us or tell us they only need help in certain areas and not all because they are doing quite fine in other areas. So, you need to learn a little bit more about Asperger's. Those are some good research areas to look. And I'm not saying by any means, sometimes individuals without Asperger's need help because they're shutting down, as you mentioned. We all do. We all have more to learn. So.
Absolutely. I love, and then write back to us and let us know how that goes.
Please, yes.
Okay, moving on to another question. Hi, wonderful ladies. How do we teach our kids to react if they are pushed or kicked? 7 years old, mainly from impatient kids asking him to move over or move ahead in line. Mine is the spacey one. He does have an aid, but they cannot see everything, and thank you. I love this question.
This is a great question in a lot of different ways. I don't want our kids to be kicked. I do want them to have some consequences of the natural environment. In other words, if nobody pushed him, he just would space out. Mm-hmm. So there's, to some extent, it's kind of, what I would do is I would ask the teacher to teach the other kids to nudge him in a nicer way. I don't want to remove that nudging because it's a positive environmental thing that triggers for him to pay attention. So I think that's important. For him, I would teach him to just attend. And you can turn this into a game. In other words, you could practice the exact scenario at home, and you can have the whole family or a bunch of people that come and help do this, where you all are about to do something and he's spacing out, and you will then want to tell him he's not paying attention. You can also have him teach him in different ways. This is one of our programs is called Attention, and it's a big area of our executive functioning domain, and there's about 60 different things you can do to improve someone's attention. Again, if you want to look at that, you can look at it on Skills. skillsforautism.com, the detail of that program. But attention is everything from paying attention to the right thing, shifting attention, and I don't know which one of these is hard for him, So saliency, which is paying attention to the right thing, maintaining attention at the right length of time, shifting attention appropriately, so like going back and forth. There's at least 20 different aspects that lead to appropriate attention, dual attention, attending to two things at the same time, and so on. So we need to make sure he's able to do all of those. I would really recommend it sounds like he's a pretty high functioning kid, and what you should do is go on Skills and do the executive functioning assessment section and go to that curriculum, because that curriculum will really benefit you.
I love that you're looking at both sides of it too and educating the other children.
Yes, definitely.
What's an appropriate way to touch him to get him to move forward in the line. Right. I also want to say too that because of skills, because I had done the assessment in skills and went to an IEP meeting for my son and said, here are some goals that I want on the playground and in between class time and that lineup time, and came in with goals that were specific to him from skills, they offered to do an assessment for something called a recreational aid, which I'd never
that's
heard
great.
of such
Yeah.
a thing ever in my entire life. But they offered to do that, and now they have someone who consults with the school who comes in periodically and teaches all the kids skills to be more patient when they're playing with him and him how to participate. Wonderful thing that came about because I use skills at my IEP meeting. And it helps with things like they've come in and taught about how to line up and help Jem to be aware of other people's space and help the other kids to be aware and what to say to him to get
Right.
him to react appropriately. It's a wonderful thing. So
Yeah.
another thing to think about.
And of course, don't forget that you need to reward this whole behavior that you're teaching. When I say teach, I forget that I'm sort of, in behavior analysis, like everything you teach has reward associated with it, obviously. But so you do need to, you could, for instance, depending on his level of awareness, place him on a token economy where, or a direct reinforcement strategy, which is every time he doesn't pay attention and another child has to nudge him, he would, for instance, lose a star or something, and every time he does pay attention and nobody has to nudge him, he gets some reward. And that's an easy thing for someone like an aide or the teacher to track. Today we didn't have any need to tell him to pay attention, that sort of thing.
They even, since this is Cyber Week and it's Tech Toy Week, there are even watches that you can set at different intervals that will give a little vibrate or a beep, and then it reads out on the thing, pay attention. And then if they do something, then it gives them a token that they can trade in later on that shows that they were paying attention.
That's awesome.
Amazing toys like that. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question.
Sure.
Which is, I promised that we would get to today, and it's about poop smearing. I just have to find it because...
And I have this question here as well that I want to get to.
I want to get to that one too. But I have to find the poop question. Maybe we should take that one.
I'll just do this one real quickly while you're looking for that one.
Okay.
This is a parent who is also, has two issues. One, and I'll want to address the second issue. But the parent is also asking us about starting up with CARD and, saying that it's been 6 months that they're waiting for services. And I want to address this, and I really do apologize because we're doing our very best. It's a pretty difficult situation. This particular parent is in the Virginia area, and I want to say we have approximately 50 kids right now waiting in Virginia. It's a pretty tough arena, and the reason for that is, and actually, I just decided on Monday that I'm going to open a whole separate clinic in Virginia in the same area because there's so many kids waiting, and our existing center cannot move fast enough. We pressure our people pretty much from I'm sharing now with my audience here. I have about 200 BCBA supervisors and licensed staff, and I'm constantly writing, calling, emailing, doing meetings, telling them you need to go faster, you need to add these kids, they cannot wait. And unfortunately, my supervisors get very, very protective, and they don't necessarily see things the same way I do in that sense, and they don't understand the urgency of it, because I don't know why. They're young, they haven't had children, they don't know how devastating this is, they like to have leisurely schedules, they're young, they feel like they need professional development time, they want to do their own thing, whatever it is. And from my perspective, from the minute I stepped into the world of autism, I never stopped running as fast as I can, and I still haven't. And I'm really tired, and I'm hoping that my supervisors will pick up and start running for me, because I've been doing it for a long, long time. But a lot of the supervisors coming into this field really see the world very differently than I do. I mean, I still feel a sense of urgency toward every single child. And I think that it's become so prevalent. And there's such a pushback from funding where, you know, if I have a sense of urgency for a particular child, I'm going to fight for the child to get 40 hours of intervention, and I'm going to do whatever. And I've been to court more than anyone for parents, and I've appealed more than anyone, and I've gotten funding for more parents than anyone. And I've always just said, this is urgent. We got to do this now. This child doesn't have time. And, you know, I think the world of autism has changed a little bit. And the prevalence factor is one part of it when there's so many people to help. Those who are able to help tend to feel much more overwhelmed, I guess. And the other side of it is, and it's almost like helplessness. Like, you know, I used to feel back in the 70s that we make a dent in the world of autism. I don't anymore. A card as big as it is hits barely 1% of what's out there. The second aspect is, of course, that certain, you know, states are very, very difficult to deal with. For instance, Virginia, a lot of our parents are Medicaid funded as well, and that is a very important factor to what we do in Virginia. And so in order to get that sort of funding for our parents, we have a contract in Virginia which forces us to do more screening of our staff than we typically would do. So typical screening is that you do what's this procedure called EBI, and essentially it's a clearance you put into the FBI, Department of Justice, and it's fingerprinting, but it's an electronic, and it's pretty fast, and it'll screen. In fact, it takes 72 hours. It's 3 days, and it'll screen and give you the major issues right away, and then they have more time to do background check. But Virginia wants a much longer process of clearance, and they want physical fingerprints. They won't accept electronic. So for our staff, every single staff. So that delays things. And if you can imagine, it's not just delaying it, it makes it much harder to hire, because you're hiring a therapist and then they have to wait, ready for this, 5 to 6 weeks to get cleared. And who at the therapist level is going to wait 5 to 6 weeks? I don't know. I wouldn't. I'd be doing something else. So a lot of times our therapists will actually find other jobs while they're waiting, and it's then we have to convince them to actually come to this job. And these are just state problems that we have. I want to address another state where we have a lot of issues is Arizona. Arizona really does significantly delay things because they have a licensure for their behavior analysts, which takes a long, long time to get through. So when we lose a behavior analyst, and last week or last month we actually terminated 2 supervisors in our Arizona offices. When you terminate a supervisor, getting a replacement supervisor is actually much harder, because you can't, it's not as easy as, CARD has the benefit of being able to transfer people from our 30 locations, but you can't really do that very fast, because Arizona takes several months. They only have 4 board meetings a year, the board, and you have to wait until the next board meeting for them to give license to the people. They should have never joined the ABA license to the psych license board. The psych license board is busy enough, you know. Wow. So they should have started a new licensure board, but they haven't. So it's extremely delayed. Before we can place a new supervisor or an existing supervisor, they have to be Arizona licensed. And this is these are some of the issues that we encounter people don't recognize. And then even after we license and credential, which is a very long process, the insurance that you are receiving has to approve that person in network, and that takes a while, and they won't start their process until the licensure is in place. So for Arizona, let's say I have to go to the board, and if I hit the right time, it might take a month. If I hit the wrong time, it could take 4 months to get a license. Once I get the license, then I have to initiate in-network credentialing, and the credentialing process with, let's say, TRICARE, for instance, right now takes 6 weeks. So we're talking, you know, potentially 5.5 months just to get a supervisor credentialed in one state. It's pretty ridiculous. So those are some of the delays that are really out of our hands. You know, we are capable of hiring and training people. Our training internally is a 6-month process. We're constantly hiring. So we're able to keep up, but the getting through these hurdles is hard.
Okay.
So that's one
And I
big
appreciate
thing.
you answering that. And I want to note that that parent wrote in and said, would you please, if I understood why, it would be easier. And I think that that's important. You know, as a parent, once you know the urgency for your child, it feels overwhelming that it's that hurry up and wait thing.
Yes.
That, you know, hurry up to get started and then you have to wait. And to know that
Absolutely.
it's not hard trying to be difficult
No, and
or
you
play
should-
with your time.
and or underpay. I mean, our parents often have the impression that we don't pay our therapists enough or our staff, and I have to tell you, we have looked at every other company in this field, and our average is way higher than just as an example, we are $6 per hour higher just at the entry level than any other organization in the U.S. So we have full benefits for our staff. We have a 401k. We really take care of our people. The ABA game has become a very difficult game because it's a master's level. I remember when I was getting my bachelor's degree from UCLA, and we were standing in line to get our bachelor's in psychology, and a bunch of us were joking around and saying, this is cool, now we can go be waitresses.
Yeah.
Because what can you do with a bachelor's in psychology? Nothing. And it's a very competitive field, even at a master's level, and it used to be. But now, if you get your master's in behavior analysis, your BCBA, your board certification, which, by the way, I mean, parents should know also that CARD pays for about, I would say annually, about 50 people to get their board certification, which is a huge expense. We're talking about $10,000 per person to go through those 4, 5, 6 courses they need and their exam and so on and so forth. It's a lot of money that we actually put into the education of our own existing staff. We're now also doing a program for BCABA. But anyway, we put a lot of efforts into this. Where I was going is that now when you come out of school and you have masters and you get your board certification, you actually, BCBAs come with the expectation of starting salary of $75,000. That is their expectation. I mean, we have a huge bonus plan for our BCBAs as well, where some of our BCBAs are making well over 150,000, 160, 70,000 annually. And, so it's a very, very lucrative field to enter, and they know it. And coming out of school, a lot of our BCBAs have absolutely no understanding and experience. We cannot let them see our kids. We cannot just take them because they're board certified. We can't place them because they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a whole batch of BCBAs right now, BCBAs who've just entered the company, and we're training them on how to teach things because the behavior analysis field really just teaches you the technique. They don't teach you sort of how to teach things and what order, how to problem solve, how to deal with autism. What is autism? Understanding the medications, understanding the sensory needs of our kids, understanding the difficulties within the families. I mean, there's a billion things that we teach our people.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time. And it's a very difficult process. I just let go of 2 people in Arizona, and the reason was they were not willing to do things the CARD way. They felt that their prior training gave them some other understanding, which was absolutely incorrect. And so, we gave them a lot of training. They went through 3-4 months of training, and they were still kind of doing things the wrong way, and I had to terminate because I want my kids to do the best they can, and I'm open to learning from other professionals, but I'm not going to let people come out of university and try to touch my kids and not do the right thing. And it's just that system. So anyway, I apologize. And we have this problem all over the country, I have to say. And we're working very, very hard. And I think if there's one thing parents can do to help us, it is to refer people to us. Refer people who are interested in becoming therapists. And for the therapist level, to be honest, every single state has reduced its requirements to high school level. All states. Except for I think Medicaid in Virginia requires bachelor's. You know what I'm saying? Every state is different. No, New York also allows high school level at the therapist level. We do a pretty intensive and long-term training for those folks because if they are high school level. We are usually in the college years, but...
Right. You're saying high school graduates.
Graduates.
Yes. So kids who are starting college.
Starting college, right. So that's one thing you can do. And then, of course, any help with finding BCBAs or licensed MFTs or licensed psychologists or licensed social workers, LCSWs. We can train them. Those licenses allow you to practice in the mandates. People don't realize that you do not have to be just a board-certified behavior analyst, BCBA. You can also be a licensed psychologist, licensed MFT, or licensed social worker. And we have a whole training program for those folks.
Okay, so keep in mind, I mean, I love getting the information so you know what the push is, what the pushback is. But you, in the meantime, as a parent, you can be using skills, you can be training yourself on IBT, ibehavioraltraining.com, and refer people. If every parent who was watching referred 5 people who became therapists,
You know what?
that would be
One
an
person.
that'd be an art, right?
That'd be
But think
great.
about it. Who do you know
Yes.
that's sharp and needs a job?
Yes.
And needs a career? Who do you know? And refer them. And then that will get us further down the line. Now, I need to move on to other questions,
I have this
although there is
second
the second part of
question.
this. Okay.
Yeah, so let me just do
Okay.
that quickly as well, and then we'll do that other question. I apologize it took so long, but I do want our
It's important.
I want our viewers to know that they can share any concerns with me, and I'm happy to address those things on this show.
Yeah.
So now on the second part of this, which is a very fabulous question, it talks about this parent has went to a conference, saw a
Professional.
a professional who was speaking about cognitive development, and they did such a fantastic presentation that at the end of the talk the parent went up and said, where does ABA fit into this? And the speaker said it doesn't, because ABA maxes out at third grade because it doesn't teach you how to think. And there's a lot of behavior. Like, I can tell my dog to sit, and he will sit, and that is why ABA kids plateau at about the 3rd grade. ABA does not move the kids out of the pre-operational stage of cognitive development. This being a wonderful parent, I can't wait to start with your kid. I love these types of parents, I can tell you. But this parent says they must have just seen discrete trial. And it's pretty alarming, but at the same time, now I go home and I'm a little worried because this is a professional who's telling me this. So can you please give me some examples of goals or activities that target specific stages of cognitive development? I will do better than that. But here's what I want to say. The person who presented is just doesn't know ABA. That's all it is. There used to be a stage where I didn't know enough about medical, but I've always tried to be very open-minded to other interventions. Let's say there was a stage where I thought we can do everything that speech therapists do, and then I learned from our speech therapist the prompt technique. So there's always something more you can learn, you know? And developmental psychologists, which this person sounds like, or typically talk about cognitive development, and they refer to ABA as if it's training robots or animals, just as this person did. And you know, the traditional and old, I mean, I think if you come straight out of a school, honestly, out of a college, and you've just learned ABA, it's possible that you don't know much more than teaching just robotic behavior. I'm a licensed psychologist, so you need to know that. I was a psychologist way before I became a BCBA. I'm a psychologist since 1992. I became a behavior analyst in 2004, or board certified. So the whole development of the CARD curriculum is very, very cognitive psychology based, because that's what I knew first, and that's what I studied at UCLA for many, many years, and that's how we developed. So the best thing I can do for you is you go to skillsforautism.com, you go to the cognitive curriculum. It's called cognitive curriculum. And there's another curriculum I would encourage you to go to, which is executive functioning curriculum. Those 2 areas. So what you do is, I think you have to answer the assessments first on those 2 sections about your child, which you love doing. And those 2 will take you to everything that you use ABA techniques to teach, which are cognitive and executive functioning content. So we're talking about things like problem solving, you know, flexibility in your behavior, self-monitoring. I mean, way past the basic Piaget cognitive development stages. So, you know, I think what you should take away from this person, the good thing they taught you, is to always be cautious that whoever is doing ABA with your child does actually pass the basic behavioral teaching and does take your child to the cognitive level, because Nothing really works unless it is at a point where it has generalized to real life, and real life is not animal training. Real life is very, very abstract and very cognitive in nature. So everything your child learns has to generalize to a point where they think about it.
And don't you love that she says that doesn't generalization require thinking? I had a moment.
Absolutely.
And she said, she had that moment of enlightenment and realized, sometimes you go to hear somebody speak and you hear them say something wonderful that you don't know, but you have that moment where you go, I know something they don't know.
And it's somewhat sad.
Empowering.
Oh, maybe it's empowering. For me, it's always sad because I love to hear people and I'm like, oh my God, I'm learning something. And then they say something completely wrong.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, how disappointing,
Well, it is.
You want
but it's
people
empowering
to
know that you can bring something back to that person.
Very true.
And maybe she will at some point learn more.
Yes, and I just thought of something. If you don't want to use technology or get on skills, then you should really, but it's much more detailed, but please go into our book.
Yeah.
And our recent book that we just published, which is called the card model, I don't know the beginning.
It's behavioral interventions
for all kids with autism or something.
We really
like that.
need to memorize the title of the book.
Can't.
You and I both.
Yeah, I know. I've written a book and I don't remember the title. But anyway, look up under my name or the card model on Amazon and you can order it. There's a whole chapter on cognitive development.
And by the way, when you order it on Amazon, sign up for Amazon Smile.
Please do.
And when you do, a portion of it will be given, a portion of the sale of anything you buy on Amazon will be given to Autism Care and Treatment Today to help other kids too.
Which I love,
It's a way to give back. Okay, I have to get to the feces smearing.
Sure.
My child, who is 3 years of age on the autism spectrum, is currently partaking in feces smearing. He will poop in his pull-up, and as soon as he does, he touches it and attempts to wipe it off on himself, carpet or walls, etc. We are trying to potty train, but he refuses to poop on the potty, but he will pee-pee in the potty. To prevent messes, we purchased the zip-up in the front pajamas for home. They are working, but do you have any behavioral recommendations? We are afraid when he doesn't use the zip-up nightie while out and about, he will do this. Help, any suggestions?
It's so tough. By the way, a lot of feces smearing occurs at night when the kids are alone, so it's unlikely that he'll do it when he's out and about. But I'm so glad you're writing to me. This is something very important that you get control over immediately, because it does become a habit, and kids don't realize how gross it is, and then it becomes almost like a fun thing to do. I would suggest, just to be safe, first of all, you've got to block it, period. It cannot be allowed to do. If you have a behavior analyst in your area, or if you can get a hold of, actually we do have a section on toilet training, go on IBT, Institute for Behavioral Training, ibehavioraltraining.com. We have a section on toilet training there. You need to go through the entire procedure and actually get this done. If he's afraid of pooping in the potty, you can actually have him start beginning by just throwing something in the potty. Sometimes our kids use a plastic potty, by the way, so that he can see it. And then he can take that and empty it into the toilet. Our kids with the toilet, they're scared. A lot of kids are scared. They think they're going to get sucked up into the toilet. So one of the things you need to do, and also make sure you have a friendly seat so the child doesn't feel like they're falling in. All those types of things make a difference. But there's a lot of instructional, detailed guidance on IBT about how you can do potty training, and that you can just access. It's easy to do. The procedure we generally like to use is the Fox and Azrin procedure for toilet training. It works really well. There was a second section I wanted to address about this. So just make sure that you are, preventing this behavior and getting it kind of under control pretty fast. It's most likely not going to happen in public. The other thing I wanted to say is replace with some other behavior, like in other words, during the day, because I don't know your child, and I don't know if your child is doing this just because they don't know how and what to do with their poop, or is it because they actually like sensory? If they like the sensory texture of doing smearing, then you need to get them into finger painting as a replacement or something like that, so that they have an out for that need, and they can therefore finger paint, which is a very appropriate thing thing to do.
Absolutely. And for some of our kids that are younger, we if you're worried about toxicity or paint, things going in the mouth, you can finger paint with pudding. I'm just worried about we don't want to do the chocolate one because it'll be too close to the other thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe with vanilla.
Yes, that's true. And don't, if you use correct behavioral procedures, like you do not want to reinforce the smearing. Obviously, one of the things you can do with smearing is repetitive cleaning, which is kind of an overcorrection procedure. There's a lot of things you could do. Please feel free to also look on the CIFA and the BIP builder. You can simply put in feces smearing and all the possible things that it happens, when it happens, what things could potentially lead to it, and it will give you ideas of what you how you can intervene.
Absolutely amazing. You find that at skillsforautism.com. Okay, next question. Hi, always looking forward to catch the show. My son's friend is nonverbal, low functioning, and has epilepsy. His activities are mainly walking around and tossing books off the table or surfaces. Can ABA still help him?
Yes.
His mother is amazing and managed to toilet train him despite other people's skepticism done by sheer will and repetition. He's 14 years old.
14, yes. He is bored out of his mind, and that's why he's doing that. He can learn a lot of stuff. So he can learn to communicate through an augmentative device or an iPad. He can learn a task or chore, something that will become a vocational strength, something he can work at, a job. He can learn to do a million things. He can do, safety stuff for himself, hygiene stuff for himself. He can make food for himself. He can get a job doing something that we teach him, like setting a table, etc. There's a million things that he can do. You really, really need to get him into a good program. Do they say where they are located?
No, they don't.
Please write into us or write into Shannon where you're located. Look for a good ABA program. If you're anywhere close to a CARD site, I will help you for sure. I'd love to. This is the age group and type of child I love. Children who are 12, 14, 16, and they start to actually become aggressive, they're just frustrated, seriously bored. No one gets them. We think they don't get it. They get it. They just don't have the same system of communication. And they're just irritated by everything. And all they do all day long is have to follow commands. And it's just not right. They don't even know how to earn reinforcers. It's not good. And easy changes, like very fast and quick, like these are the things I need you to do. Very simple instructions, very simple modeling, making sure the child always gets a model and gets reinforced for the smallest thing, making sure the child has the ability to ask for breaks, figuring out the things in the environment that irritates the child, keeping the child busy with things that are rewarding. There's so much you can do, and you will see the most drastic change. So, give us more information. I'd love to help.
Okay, great. Next question. Hi, this question is for Dr. Doreen. My 4.5-year-old son was diagnosed about 2 years ago. He's done good progress and is even talking in 4, 5, and 6-word sentences.
Great.
But still has a lot of issues like hyperactivity, even though he's on a GFCF diet for almost 2 years now. Some unawareness, poor social skills, inappropriate laughing at times, some blank stares sometimes, and still a little foggy looking. And I think he has GI issues too. These past 2 years, his diagnosis has consumed me so much that most days I don't even want to get out of bed. My son is getting therapy one-on-one at his autism school 5 days a week for 5.5 hours plus speech and OT. What else can I do to help with his other issues? He has so much potential. I know he can become really high functioning with time and maybe even lose the label someday, I'm thinking. I'm thinking about getting some therapy for myself because I feel like I may be starting to feel depressed. I have to take care of me for my kids. I have 2 other boys. I love to hear her say that she understands that she's got to take care of her.
Yes.
That's so important. Self-care, it feels like the least important thing, and yet it's the most important thing. It's that oxygen mask they tell us on the planes. You got to put it on yourself first in order to put it on your children.
Absolutely.
But what else can she be doing?
Well, there's
Dr.
a million things. And the first thing is please do get help for yourself. Do not just go see a psychologist and also go see a psychiatrist. Get yourself on some sort of antidepressant medication. There's no shame in that. Get yourself out of this, because you're going to need to be strong for a while. And start putting aside an hour for yourself every day where you can just do nothing. Okay, just like take a bath or just sit and watch a TV show or work out or whatever you want to do for 1 hour a day. That's all. Then, and do that as importantly as helping your child, that is. Okay, I wish somebody would say that to me, because I really can use that 1 hour
I'm going
a
to
day.
give you that lecture as soon as we're in a commercial.
Oh my gosh. So then what I think you should do is, for your child, you can do a lot of stuff. First of all, talk to a good nutritionist. We often recommend Julie Matthews, but there are lots of good nutritionists. I would like to find out about the GI issues and yeast, because kids who just like walk around and laugh for no reason, I'm always looking to figure out what that's about. So check his yeast levels, and perhaps a GFCF is not enough, and that he would benefit from some other type of diet. A lot of yeast kids benefit from other types of diets. Some of them do very well on the specific carbohydrate. There's many other diets to choose from.
I want to know how much sugar, how many artificial colors,
sugar big
and
time.
how many like starches, like potatoes. Is the child living on starch and corn chips?
That's right. The diet is a major factor. So talk to a dietitian or nutritionist. The other thing is, a lot of times I find, it's sad to say this, but our parents think, we all, it's like we all trust the system, and we think that if someone is in a 5 hour a day or 6 hour a day good ABA school, that they're getting good quality care. That isn't necessarily the case. I'm sad to say. This ABA has become a business. It's a business where banking is buying into this business. Insurance is buying into this business. So it could be awful services. I don't want to say it is. I don't know anything about this school, but you need to evaluate the ABA that you are receiving. And I'm not sure if we still have, we used to have online a questionnaire about what is good ABA. Please write to Shannon if you need help evaluating what is good ABA. We'll send you all of our evaluation forms that we use internally for our own staff. But and buy our book. I mean, now that I think about it, get our book. The CARD model, evidence-based interventions or evidence-based treatments for children with autism, the CARD model. Please do read that, because it really tells you what is good ABA. You need to make sure your child is learning very well. You need to go do observations and find out that, make sure that the hyperactivity is not an issue in the school system, and that sometimes what happens is our kids are very hyperactive and they get away with a lot of stuff and you don't know.
Right.
And if you do have a great program in school, then get help from them. Tell them to come home and train you to do more at home.
Yeah.
Contact a behavior analyst anywhere, wherever you are, to have them come and set up a system of contingencies at home and to give you training. Go on the Institute for Behavioral Training and learn how to control behavior. There's little small modules that are 30 minutes, 20 minutes. If you watch our show, it's an hour. During this time, you can learn 2 modules. So please do educate yourself. I know when we're depressed, we don't want to do any of this stuff. Yeah. So first thing is kind of like take care of yourself. And it will take a month or 2 months for you to get back on your feet, even if you start an SSRI, let's say today. So it'll take you a while to get back on your feet. I would really get some help from someone for the next couple of months. And you know what? Don't panic. It's 2-3 months of you taking care of yourself, getting stronger. It's almost like you just came back from an operation. 2 years, two more months of taking care of yourself until you can get on your feet will earn you another year of strength. So please take care of yourself first.
And I just want to button that by saying, sometimes we get so overwhelmed. I do a little speech that I do about the amazing paralyzed woman, that when I have too many things going on, I get moving so much so I get locked up and I get paralyzed and can't do anything. If you just give yourself the task that you're going to take one step every day, if it's one phone call that you make, you get on one waiting list, or you go in and volunteer at the school for 1 hour, make yourself do something, one thing every day, and then reward yourself for taking taking that step. You'll find that all of a sudden you'll be doing 2 things, and then you'll be doing 3 things, and then it snowballs.
I wish I could help more. Yeah.
Yeah. But right back to us. You've got my email too. Stay in touch with us. You're not alone. That's the thing you need to know. We're out of time. Kelby's ringing the bell.
I
ding,
know.
ding. But thank you so much.
It was a pleasure, as
Yes,
always.
Always a pleasure. And we'll look forward to seeing you again
you.
next week. We're going to take a break now and go to The A Word, which is an ongoing documentary being made by the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, following the little boy, Jack Riley, and his family, his growing family, as they go through early intensive behavioral intervention. When we come back, we have a new toy of the hour for you, and you're going to love it. Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson is joining me for Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy, and we're doing tech toys. So we're talking about an app that's great for teaching reading. I'm talking about the Reader Bee, so don't go away. We'll be right back after the A Word.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack.
Jack Riley.
He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
What's the phone for a doctor? No. I don't understand. What are you talking about?
Jack Riley has been scripting a lot. He's repeating lines from movies, practicing speaking, which is great, but his use of language is not appropriate because no one understands what he's saying. Everyone has been working on redirecting his language to say things that are more appropriate and conversational.
Hey, ladies. No, check it and say, hey, ladies, let's play.
Jack, can you say I'm excited?
I'm excited to play.
There you go. Okay.
I will play Jessica's house.
Okay, that's nice.
Where is it?
There you go. It is.
Jessica has been working on WH questions such as where,
I will play the iPod.
Okay, go get it. Go get the iPod.
Where's?
who,
Who's there?
what,
What is it?
There we go. It's iced coffee.
why.
Why are wearing glasses?
I'm pretending I need them so I can see you better.
That's for you.
These words accelerate his learning by giving him language to ask for info.
Oh, I just want to be silly. Am I silly?
You need WH questions for conversational skills, comprehension, perspective taking, and problem solving.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Suzanne. What's your name?
Jack Riley.
What color are your eyes?
Are blue.
How about mine? What color are my eyes?
Are brown.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ryan with Autism Research Group. We study ways to improve the lives of kids with autism. One of those ways is teaching safety skills, such as what to do if they get lost. We hit the streets to find out if anybody knows the correct answer on how to teach a kid what to do if they get lost.
You're teaching a child.
What to do if they get lost?
Yeah. You're trying to make them
Okay.
independent so they have the skills.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, give them a compass.
Code name's good idea, Centurion.
We always have this whistle.
Oh, I'd
Figuring
also
out
tell
that
the
was
kid, don't get scared. You're gonna be all right, man. This is just the world. This is planet Earth. You're at home here. As long as you're on planet Earth, you're at home.
As long as you're on planet Earth, you're home. This guy's a genius. With that flawless logic, he just solved our homeless problem. And as for the unique sounding whistle, although very cool, it'll probably only work if you're in close proximity. And a compass?
I have her call me.
Yeah, she doesn't have a phone. Parents are like, you're too young, you don't need a phone.
Establish some sort of like meeting place.
What if they can't find a meeting place? Because sometimes the kids get nervous when they get lost.
Yeah.
So like a backup plan,
Well,
plan B.
Yeah, I don't know. No, not really.
Let them go and find a new kid.
Yeah, I've got a different one. Yeah.
There's not much you can do.
There is stuff you can do.
That's right, there is stuff you can do. In 2012, myself, along with my colleagues, Dr. Jonathan Tarbox and Dr. Adele Nadowski, published a study in the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis on teaching kids what to do when they get lost. The study demonstrated how 3 simple things, rules, role-playing, and praise, were effective in establishing these help-seeking behaviors. The benefit of this method is it doesn't require the child to have a cell phone or to have to locate a meeting place, which might be difficult if they're in a place like Disneyland. So once again, our method included rules, role-playing, and praise. Let's head back outside and learn about some of these rules.
They should
yell out loud. Can't find my mom, help me.
Maybe yell out and scream for help.
All right. Scream really loud.
Right.
And if that doesn't work, then,
I don't know.
well, they could seek help from someone.
Find an adult.
Yeah, go to a vendor, you know, and say I'm lost.
Find an adult, like a police officer or a fireman or an employee in the store, and tell them, and maybe they can help you contact your parent. It really is that simple. You don't need to get your kid a cell phone. You don't need to establish a meeting place that they might not be able to find when they're lost and panicking. And you definitely don't need to give them a compass. All your kid has to do is 3 things. First, yell mom or dad real loud. 2, if that doesn't work, find an employee. And then 3rd, tell the employee they're lost. If they can't locate an employee, then tell them to find a mother with children, because that's probably the safest person to approach. I'm not saying that most men are predators, but most predators are men. That is a fact. I've read it in a fortune cookie. All right, so you've gone over the rules with your kid, and you've quizzed them, and they're able to tell you the correct responses so they understand the rules. But is that enough? How do you know they're going to perform correctly in a real-world setting? You need to get out there and find out if they can actually do it.
So you'd go over the rules and tell them, like, do this, do that, but how?
Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I'm Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson.
And I'm Shannon Penrod. So grateful to be here. You're looking
grateful to
all
be.
festive in your lovely purple.
In my purple. I was going to wear red today. We would have been twinsies.
There we go.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
wear
not
purple next week.
Not
You
a
go
big
on.
red person, except
I'm not either, really.
I
I'll
like
be
that
honest.
on you, though. And when I wear it, people say it looks good on me, but it just feels weird.
Yeah, I don't feel like a red person. There we go.
Yeah, but around the holidays, it's always appropriate, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
It's a wonderful thing.
but there's a lot of holiday stress out there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
You can feel it. Can't
Yes,
you just feel
can.
it?
And I just want to say to all you autism parents out there, if your to-do list is longer than your arm, throw it out the window,
Right.
start over again, shorten it, simplify, and remember
Advanced
what
editing.
Christmas is about.
Yes.
Right?
And all the holidays are about being thankful.
Thankful, grateful,
Yes.
blessings, love.
Right.
I mean, Christmas did start with the birth of Christ, and funny how it just became something entirely else.
Right.
But let's try to get it simple, bring it back, stop thinking about the material and start thinking about the blessings. And just
Absolutely.
start from there today, and that's my
Absolutely.
advice.
But we got, I want to kind of start with talking about our toy of the hour, which we're going to be talking about more in a couple of minutes.
Because they're great toys that can help our kids.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, we all want to gift during this holiday
Yes.
season. And when we give our children the gift of knowledge and the gift of the empowerment of reading, which is what we're going to be talking about today, then we're on to something really incredible. So our toy for this hour, and we're going to talk about it extensively because we've got a guest who's going to join us, is from Learning Circle Kids. It's called Reader Bee. And this is so exciting. I can't wait for you guys to see it. There it is up on the screen. Little Reader Bee, amazing. And I know you're an avid reader. I'm an avid reader.
Yes.
And when our children have the ability to read and to enjoy it, it's really how we unlock every single door. It is the final
And the timing on
frontier.
this couldn't be better for me, Shannon, because we recently had educational consultant do some very intensive testing on my son, which revealed something I knew, that he's hyperlexic, so he's memorizing the words, and his comprehension is lagging way behind. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to address that issue.
Yeah.
And this might even be something that Wyatt can still do. It's not necessarily
Absolutely.
something for very young children. But,
Absolutely.
But reading comprehension is one of the toughest issues for our kids.
Yeah, and making reading reinforcing really, really a powerful thing, and that's what Reader Bee does. It's ingenious.
Yeah, we've got a
It's
great
beautiful-
expert. She's known as the queen, Ann McCormick, the queen of children's educational software.
Absolutely. So we're thrilled that she's going to be joining us in just a few minutes. But before that, we had a couple of stories that we wanted to share with everybody. Our first one in Washington Post, you guys may have seen an article about advice for parents of children diagnosed with autism from those who've been there. This is really, this hits kind of home, doesn't it?
It does. And, I liked this article because, once again, timely, just yesterday, I was dealing with paying a a bill, and it so happened that the bookkeeper for the veterinarian asked me about my signature. She said, "Do you work in autism?" And I said, "Do you have a child?" Because I could tell.
Right.
And we ended up talking for an hour, and I gave her, kind of a primer on what to do, and offered to meet with her after the holidays to go shopping with her and try some food alternatives for diet, and pointed her the way of some things that would help. And she said, "You should write a book." And I said, "Well, there's actually many books out there. I don't need to write one." And in this article, there were some things that they pointed to parents whose children were newly diagnosed. MyAutismTeam.com.
Who we've had on the show.
Yes. Thinking Person's Guide to Autism.
We've also had them on the show.
Okay, so that's two great sources. I like, here's one that I hadn't heard of. The Don't Freak Out Guide to Parenting Kids with Asperger's. And her blog, apparently, Sharon Fuentes, is Mama's Turn Now. And so I think that there are so many more resources than when my son was diagnosed.
Absolutely.
And I always refer people to Talk About Curing Autism, and tell them to get a mentor and join a support group.
And I always refer them to Autism Care and Treatment Today to apply for a grant if there's something that they need.
Yes, so I encourage people, of course, to go to our website.
And you're in an open grant phase right now, so people can be applying for a grant right now.
Yes, they can, right now. And as most of you know, we fund grants for a variety of treatments, everything from tuition, summer school, safety equipment, all kinds of camps and programs and iPads and ABA, so copays, insurance copays.
Absolutely.
We're really big on that right now.
And we want to remind you that a great way to make sure that there's money in those coffers to make sure that everybody has the ability to get a grant, or as many people as possible, is to participate in the Autism Act of Love Challenge. So make sure that you do that and make a donation of any size.
Or spread the word if that's all you can do.
Spread the word, right? And that's a way to keep that money in there.
So back to this. Shannon, I'm going to ask you, what would you say first and foremost to the person who's got a child that's newly diagnosed?
Well, the first thing that I usually tell people is to sign up, get on a waiting list for ABA, Quality ABA, and to sign up for as many of those waiting lists as they have to, and then to get a local support group and a more global support group so they can find out. Because it's going to take a while before their ABA starts. So those are the first two things that I tell them to do.
Okay, very similar to what I do.
After that, I tell them, then you got to get your child as healthy as possible, so on the first day that you start ABA, that you're going to be in the best possible position to do that with your child. And that's different for every child, but that's usually the steps that I tell them to go through. What about you?
I tell them, first of all, I tell them you're a good parent. Don't blame yourself. I tell them you're going to have some really rough times where you're going to feel like you're not a good parent, and you're going to be judged because maybe your child will have a tantrum, and you can't see that a child has autism by looking at them. So learn to kind of put yourself in a bubble about that. Secondly, know you're not alone, and we are an autism nation.
Yes.
And with 1 in 48 children diagnosed, there's plenty of us out there, so get a support group. I do tell them to immediately get a great ABA program. Of course, I recommend CARD, being the creme de la creme. And I also tell them that they should have their child thoroughly assessed by a great diagnostic assessment center, because a lot of times what they might have gotten an assessment from either their school district or Early Start or Regional Center is not take out sugar, food coloring, get off gluten and dairy. And after I kind of bombard them with all this information, because I just did this with Mom yesterday and she wrote me back, I've got a lot of work cut out for me. I said, please remember, autism is a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely.
Pace yourself. You're not going to get all this done. I'm still doing it. Shannon's still doing it. I've been in this game now for 8, 9 years, and I'm still learning every day. I'm still trying new interventions every day. I'm still trying new strategies with Wyatt every day, and I, it's just something that you need to be mindful of.
Absolutely. Now we have some other news stories, but we're going to save those for the end of the show.
Sure.
Because we've got one thing in particular that I want to make sure that we're covering about amazing dog called Pupcake.
Pupcake.
We're going to talk about later on, but we're going to go to break so that when we come back that you can join us as we talk about ReaderBee, this exciting app, award-winning, multi-award-winning app that comes to us from Learning Circle Kids, helping all of our kids be able to read. So stick with us.
Skills is an online program that provides assessment, curriculum, positive behavior support planning for challenging behavior, and progress tracking, and it does this all in one place. The Skills Assessment and Curriculum addresses 8 areas of development, which even includes advanced higher level areas such as executive functions and cognition, which pretty much makes Skills the only ABA-based set of curricula for teaching more complex skills, things like problem solving, planning, self-management, perspective taking, and even inferring and predicting others' private events. Skills is a 4-step system. Step 1 is to add the child to your account. Step 2 is to start assessment. The Skills Assessment is the only ABA-based assessment with psychometric research demonstrating the language subscale to have excellent reliability. Every area of human functioning and typical child development from infancy to adolescence was researched, making the Skills Assessment the most comprehensive of its kind in the world, and we're quite proud of that.
Skills is easy to use. Simply click Start Assessment and begin answering questions. Or simply type in a keyword, find specific activities to assess, and add activities to treatment. Step 3. Choose activities. Once you've completed the assessment, Skills selects from a pool of 4,000 activities categorized by age, level, and skill type to provide you with exactly those activities each child needs. Start by choosing a curriculum, then a lesson, and finally an activity. Click the information icon to view prerequisites, ages in which targets develop, examples, and IEP goals. Click the video icon to watch a short video. Once you've identified an activity you want to teach, adding activities to treatment is a snap. Step 4. Start treatment. Here you can access customizable activity lesson details, add your own customized targets and exemplars, and edit an activity status such as introducing or mastering it. You can even print handouts such as worksheets, tracking forms, visual aids, and other materials. Skills also offers multiple progress charts mapping curriculum progress, lesson progress, and cumulative number of activities and targets mastered over time. The Skills language curriculum is categorized by verbal behavior type so that users can identify progress for verbal operants, such as echoics, mans, tax, and interverbals.
Skills is one of the only programs that provides the ability to write behavior intervention plans, or BIPs, for challenging behavior.
With just a few clicks, the outline of the behavior intervention plan is written for you and ready to be printed and implemented.
You can learn more about Skills today and get started by visiting us at www.skillsforautism.com, or you can call us at 877-975-4559. Skills. Progress starts here.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. Nancy and I are so excited because we have joining us right now via Skype Ann McCormick. And we mentioned before that Ann is widely known as the queen of children's educational software. It's such a thrill for us to have her with us. She has a PhD in education from UC Berkeley, and she spent 10 years as a teacher in a low-income urban school, 8 years in private schools, including working at the prestigious Nueva School in Hillsborough, California. In 1979, she founded a company called Learning Company. She did that with a $1,000 grant. I mean, talk about an inspirational woman. And you probably are familiar with the things that Learning Company did. I know I am, because Reader Rabbit and Rocky's Boots were some of the things that they did. My son loved Reader Rabbit. Well, now Ann has co-founded a company called Learning Circle Kids, and she is continuing to demonstrate her muscle power as the queen of children's educational software with their newest award-winning app, ReaderBee. So, Ann, we welcome you, and I'm gonna kick this off right away with a question. ReaderBee has won so many awards this year: Children's Technology Review Editor's Choice Award, Dr. Toy's 100 Best Toys of 2014, Dr. Toy's 10 Best Technology Toys, the Silver Award from National Parenting Publications, and more. It's amazing. Tell us about this amazing app and why so many people are raving about it.
Well, I think they're raving about it because it works. And it's cute and fun. And it solves a problem that many kids have, those on the autism spectrum and others, and that is our Common Core state standards call for kids to learn uppercase letters, lowercase letters, how those match, sounds for each letter, sometimes 5 sounds, 100 sight words, all abstract when they're very little. So we cut out about 80 or 90% of that to begin with to make the language very consistent. And I did that by just using lowercase letters, just using one sound. And of course, they'll need more before they're through, but they become confident and excited about it very early because it's so simple. So I think simplicity is the big thing. Well, and also, it moves really quickly from letters to words to stories. And I can show you how that works when you're ready.
Well, Anne, let's talk about the concept that you employ of honeycomb reading. Why is that? What is it, and why is it effective at teaching reading for children on the spectrum?
It lets kids write without using a pencil very easily. The letters are arranged. First of all, they just learn one letter, and then they, when they have traced all the letters, they make words, and you just go like this, you know, cat, so quickly, and you can make 16 words on this little array. This is honeycomb reading. It uses these little letter daisies, and they all come together into a keyboard, and it allows typing about 25% of the words in English text. If you got 1 billion pages of words, 25% of them would be one little stroke like that.
We're having a little bit of trouble, Anne, seeing your screen there on your iPad. If you want to angle it a little bit for us.
Yeah, angle it forward maybe.
Yeah,
there you. Okay.
If you lean it forward, then the light, then we can see it.
That?
A little bit more forward.
A little bit more
leaning
forward.
It towards the screen, because then we start to see colors. And I think maybe because I can see some letters there, but I want to be able to show the videotape that we have, so people can see what this honeycomb looks like. So let's have Kelby show the videotape of Reader Bee, and you guys will be able to see exactly what Anne was talking about, taking a honeycomb with the vowels in the center, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
And there's every letter is arranged 6 around 1, and that lets the kids focus on one sound, only short vowels, only one letter, lowercase. So that's how we cut out the complexity. Second, this daisy arrangement or honeycomb arrangement, and third, kids move quickly from letters to words to stories. That might not all show in the video, but you can see it easily in the app and in screenshots on the
Let's take a look at the video, because I think people will be able to see some of what we're talking about.
We'll be right back after the video.
Great.
Okay, show me. Teach me.
Apple.
Mouse.
Good job.
Turtle.
You built the daisy. Now you can make words.
She do it. You know magic hat.
Yeah.
Tap the arrow.
Hey, and for you, Mama. Fly to the sun. I can't. I can't catch him. I got him.
Good job.
Come back here. Come back here. Huh? Good job.
Sun.
Apple!
Good job, buddy.
So there you saw it. Kids just enjoy
they're having
learning
such a
to
great
read.
time.
That's what I love. You would think they were almost playing with just a toy that was giving them great joy, but this is a toy that's really teaching skills. Now, Anne, why do you think that Reader B is so effective at addressing needs of children on the autism spectrum?
Well, first I want to acknowledge that every child is so different, like a snowflake, but I'll make generalities anyway. One is the consistency. Sometimes kids on the autism spectrum don't like things to not make sense. They like things black and white one way. And Reader B does that completely. Everything is consistent. And so it opens up learning phonics at a simple level. Then they can add in more complication when they get confident. Second, kids can explore freely, doing what they want as many times as they want. If they like to repeat something, it's a very patient teacher. Third, kids can figure out what to do through visual clues. It doesn't have to talk to them about what to do. It just shows them, like Reader B flies up and points to something. Also, it's very positive when kids make a mistake. Sometimes kids on the autism spectrum have trouble if they feel like they're doing something wrong. They're never made to feel that they're wrong in Reader B. It shows marching arrows or anything to help them move forward without a right-wrong sense. Another thing is that it has happy music and upbeat words and words that kids can find. It teaches them these three-letter words, then they find those in a story. So it's meaningful very quickly. They go, oh, this might make sense. Finally, Reader B can help parents enter a story for them, and they can, it's actually got a setting that lets them use a whole hand. They don't have to do really precise finger movements if they have difficulty with that. Some of the kids I've taught have trouble with their hands enough that it's hard to button a button. Well, this works more with a whole hand if they need it to. And they don't have to write with a pencil. They can express themselves so easily with the honeycomb keyboard.
I have to say, too, Anne, this is a beautiful app. You know, it's so reminiscent for me in the way it's illustrated. I was saying to Nancy, it reminds me of the Berenstain Bears, sort of the color palette and the way things are drawn. And Jem loved that, too.
Yeah, our sons love that.
Yeah, it's
glad because it's not like a lot of apps are harsher. This is very calm, happy, pretty app.
Yeah.
And we really were inspired by Winnie the Pooh and colors like that, and we worked hard on our color palette to make it consistent and just beautiful and soft.
It is. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. In terms of age range and abilities, what is Reader B appropriate for in terms of age range and abilities?
We set up for preschool and kindergarten. Actually, in our own team, some of the grandchildren of ours liked it when they were toddlers, like 16-month-old kids were reading Cat Hat, Man Can, and we don't really like to push things too early, but if kids are going to have a problem, it doesn't hurt that they feel confident so early. Also, people at Apple have said they want to use this for adults in prison, and I was surprised because it seems very kid-like to me, and they said, no, it'll make people happy. Yeah. So there's a really wide age range, but the skills would match the objectives of preschool and kindergarten.
But what about a child that might be older, but academically or in terms of a reading comprehension level, maybe they're at the kindergarten level? Would it possibly be appropriate?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think all the way to adults it's useful. It's kind of at a Cat Hat, Sat, Man, Tan, Can level, three-letter words. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to help a 7th grader with 7th grade vocabulary.
Right.
It will help set the foundation so that we'll have follow-on apps that build up the rest of the phonics so that they can use that for reading anything.
But it's so great to have something that sets the foundation, because we know from there kids can fly. And so many of our kids with autism, I know as a former teacher, you get a 2nd grader who comes in the door, but they don't have a foundation. And so often schools gloss over that and just keep pushing and keep pushing instead of going back and taking care of the foundation. And that's what this can do. So if anybody's watching and their kid is struggling with reading, I I think this is a great way of going back, giving them a fun opportunity, and making sure that that foundation is set. And we need to talk about how parents can get this, because it's also one of the more affordable apps that's out there, Anne. I just want to hug you
really
because you do this right.
We want millions of kids to use it, and we care more about that impact. And if millions of kids do, we'll have plenty of money to work with too. ReaderBee can be found most easily at the readerbee.com website. And there are links there to the iTunes Store. Sometimes if you search in the iTunes Store, the search engine doesn't work, so you can find it. So readerbee.com is a good option. There are two apps. The first is ReaderBee in the Story Tree. The second is ReaderBee's First Story Maker, and that's a simple writing program for kids that goes beyond just the simple phonics. It lets kids, it has beginning sounds for examples like alligator, apple, astronaut for each letter. So it has 109 little pictures they can tap into their story. And when you tap the word, it turns a word into a picture and back into a word. So kids can see how to spell something. So that works with kids that like the whole word. Anyway, I think readerbee.com is the best way.
And they're so affordable, you guys. We're talking $1.99 and 99 cents. This is amazing. You know, people are spending a lot more than this on coffee, and this has the ability to change a child's life. And I just want to say about the First Story Maker, both of us have children who have loved Geronimo Stilton books and that kind of book that intersperses the picture with the word. This lets them drive the bus on that, so that they can create the story and put the picture in. And I think that interactivity is brilliant, Anne.
Thank you. Yeah, our developers helped think of that, the going back and forth, tapping the word to make a picture and back. I love it.
Yeah, we do too.
One of the kids I worked with on the autism spectrum enjoyed, he said, "How do you spell alligator?" He said, "Oh, wait, I can figure that out myself."
Great.
He said it in fewer words, but he went back and forth between the word and the picture.
And what have you heard, what kind of feedback have you gotten from parents about their children using this?
One is that the children don't want to stop playing, and it's really meant for about 10 minutes. We don't want to keep the kids on the screen too long, but they come back every day. They want to do it over and over and over, and they just love the games and that they're learning their basic reading. So they're especially happy when kids, especially even very young kids, can read words independently that they haven't been introduced to, because they got how the words are put together with phonics. So one parent said she cried when I told her she had to go outside, and they really like it. So if they like it and do it, they're going to learn, because it's kind of fail-safe. One of the reviewers said it's fail-safe.
That's a good thing to have a reviewer say.
And I just want to thank you from the bottom of our mother hearts here for being such an amazing person across a lifetime. We hope that you have many more apps in you. Have you got plans to do more?
Yeah, there's about 5 coming along right now. We just set priorities yesterday for what we'll do first, because we want to build up to fully reading anything.
Wonderful.
Well, you're a busy lady, and you have a great spirit, and we thank you for being in this field and working to improve the lives of our children.
And we want to encourage everybody, take a look at ReaderBee. This is the perfect gift to give a child. It's within everybody's price range and truly has the ability to set a foundation for them for reading across a lifetime.
I can't stress enough how important reading is for your child on the spectrum, right,
and to enjoy it.
Yes, and not just words.
Right.
Being able to figure out words, I think, is important, even if it's not as easy.
Yeah,
absolutely. Anne, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Everybody at Learning Circle Kids, and we encourage everybody to check out ReaderBee.
And happy holidays to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break and be right back after these messages. Stick with us.
The sun is up, it's time to get out and go enjoy the sunny day. So many things I love to do now, I'm gonna live my special way. I can run and jump and spin around, I can wave my hands in the air. I'm as free as I can be now, and with my friends this day I'll share. I've got to play, I gotta run and jump and play today now. I wanna play. I wanna play on this bright and sunny day. I gotta play. I gotta run and jump and play today now. I wanna play. I wanna play on this bright and sunny day. To the tree house we packed a picnic with our friends and Reader B. What will we find on our adventures? Can hardly wait for what we see. I gotta play. I gotta run and jump and play today now. I wanna play. I wanna play on this bright and sunny day. I gotta play. I gotta run and jump and play today now. I wanna play. I wanna play on this bright and sunny day. The sun is up, it's time to get out and go enjoy the sunny day. So many things I love to do now. I'm gonna live my special way. I gotta play. Gotta run and jump and play today now. I wanna play. I wanna play on the sunshiny day. I've got to play. I gotta run and jump and play today now. I wanna play. I wanna play on this bright and sunny day.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy.
Shannon cracks me up in the break.
I can be very funny when I want to be.
She could be a stand-up comedian.
And I can be
is what
I
she
can
could
be serious. Well, I used to be a stand-up comedian.
Well, you could go back to it.
I was an award-winning stand-up comedian.
Any day. What award did you win?
And I always laugh about this because I could say I'm an award-winning stand-up comedian. I won the funniest person in Iowa contest. I have a plaque in the shape of the state of Iowa.
I hope that's hanging in your office.
And no, it's somewhere in a box. And I always say that my son doesn't believe me. He thinks I'm making it up when I say this because he thinks I'm not funny at all.
Did that mean you did the best like cow jokes and Wheatfield?
No, not at all. It was like a serious comics come from Iowa. Okay. And then I was going to go, I had a mission that I was on that I was going to win the funniest comic in all the vowel states. So I went from there to Utah and did stand-up comedy in Utah. But I left before it was time for the contest. In any case, I don't know, the vowel states. Why not, right? If you have to have a passion in life. I was single and had nothing else to do. Right? Okay, now to some very serious things, because we had some stories in the news that we weren't able to cover yet. Mm-hmm. But you brought this story to my attention.
Yes, because I get a lot of stories sent to me by my best friend in Richmond, Virginia, which is where I lived from the time I was 12 until I graduated from Virginia Commonwealth University. And this story was very concerning to me. There was a young girl at a school in Henrico County right outside of Richmond, and I'm looking for my paper here. Oh, okay. An 8-year-old girl who, just a darling girl.
Yes.
The father said he's fighting for his 8-year-old daughter over incidents he believes never should have happened. And he believes that his daughter, who told him that the teacher's aide hit her in class, so what he did was he put a recording device.
Those little digital ones, which are available at most stores now and getting more and more affordable.
Yes, and he recorded the interaction between the little girl and her aide. Well, it's all on the tape, as they say, and it is shocking.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely shocking. The aide is taunting the little girl. She slaps her. She calls her names. And she laughs to another aide about the reaction of the little girl.
Yeah, she says to the little girl is crying in the background, and she says, I just keep walking away from her and let her chase me. And she laughs like that's hilariously
Like, that's
funny.
really funny. Yeah. So this has not broken wide nationally. A lot of these stories tend to. And after, of course, he taped this, they started taking his claims seriously. Funny how that works.
He was talking to the school beforehand because his daughter would cry every morning that she needed to go to
and they weren't
school.
listening to him.
Right.
So, the spokesperson for the school district did say that the school notified Child Protective Services and they are investigating. Meanwhile, the father is keeping his daughter at home, and there is a Facebook page which is called Justice for Presley Facebook page. So we're staying on top of this story to see how the authorities deal with the school, because this is not acceptable.
It isn't, and we will say that the school has put the aide on administrative leave, which means that she continues to be paid while they are investigating. So we're keeping an eye on this.
But kudos to the father for staying at it.
Yes, it's what
and
we all
taking
need
the
to do.
steps. And
Yes.
it can be very disturbing, but sometimes the only way to get to the bottom of this is to go to devices like this and get the proof.
Now, in some other disturbing news, closer to home here in Mission Viejo this week, a darling little girl, and her name is spelled A-B-C-D-E Santos, and I understand it's pronounced Absede.
Absede.
Which I think is a beautiful,
beautiful
say,
name.
you never have to tell anybody how to spell your name. It's A-B-C-D-E. That's pretty incredible, right? Beautiful young girl, and we have, I believe we have some pictures of her. She went to go see Santa with her assistance dog, and she's a big fan of Frozen. And there she is. Take a look at how precious
look, she's
she
dressed
was all
as
dressed.
Princess
From Frozen.
Yeah.
Elle. Isn't it Elle? I don't know what her name is.
I'm on.
Elsa.
Elsa, thank you, Kelby.
And she's got her dog, who is her assistant's dog there, who's dressed as a reindeer.
Isn't
Melt
he
anybody's heart.
darling?
Now, his name is...
I love his name. Cupcake.
Cupcake.
Pup with a hyphen cake.
Love him. And he has his own Facebook page, which is a scream, everybody. You've got to check out his Facebook page. I love this because so often parents will post about their kids. Well, this is all from Pupcake's point of view, where he'll talk about what he's doing with his best girl for the day. And, his best girl's having a hard time, and he'll say, I need to be on the job to help. Well, he was on the job to go see Santa.
Yes, he was.
At a mall in Mission Viejo. And, we're getting lots of reports about what happened, but somewhere between, after her waiting a half an hour in line, she was told that she could not go and see Santa.
Because Santa was allergic to Pupcake, is what they said.
Right. Well, first they said they could, because her dog is a pit bull, and that, couldn't. And then suddenly when they were told it's an assistance dog, then suddenly Santa was allergic to the dog.
Ah, okay.
Then they asked, can we take the dog outside and have the little girl wave to Santa, and were allegedly told no.
Okay.
That they couldn't even take the dog outside and have the girl, and everybody was up in arms. Now, the mall has apologized.
Yes, they said, we do not condone the behavior displayed by Santa, and have worked with our partners at the company that hires our Santas to replace this Santa with one that is more compassionate to guests' needs, the shops at Mission Viejo wrote on its Facebook page. And we look forward to welcoming back the Santos family and Pupcake for a special Santa experience.
And apparently the Santa in question and an elf were both fired.
And
now,
as a former elf, and your husband Jim he's a professional Santa. So you are an expert on this, as you are a comic in Iowa, who award-winning comics in Iowa.
I was an elf of the First Order at Herald Square Macy's in New York City.
You are kidding. Shut the front door.
I was. I have an elf name that don't ask me to tell you because I can't tell you. I'd have to kill you before I could tell you.
You're going to tell me later.
I assure you I'm not.
Promise.
We are sworn to secrecy on these things, nor can I tell you the ins and outs of how Santa Land at Macy's and Herald Square works. That I might give you some insight when we're not on camera. But I was assigned to a very special Santa when I was an elf.
Okay.
That was probably, I was single and did not know that I was going to have a child on the autism spectrum. But I was assigned to a particular elf, Santa Tim, and we had kids who had special needs who came to that Santa in that Santa Land. So I'm well versed, and I can tell you that Macy's has a training that they do to make sure that all kids have access to Santa.
Now, let me ask you about this because our friend in Chicago, Rochelle Jervis, who works with ACT Today and does volunteer work for us, she has a little girl, Constance, on the spectrum who is afraid of Santa.
Yes, and this is very common that children of all abilities go through a period of time in which they are terrified of Santa.
And how does a parent deal with that?
Well, you know, you want to deal with it very carefully. You want to do nothing that's aversive with the Santa.
Right.
But my husband, who's a very good Santa helper, in case we have kiddies that are watching, he has been trained too that within a certain age range and with kids that he needs to take his movements and make them smaller. And a good Santa will know this.
Okay.
And to allow the child to touch them and not to do anything quick.
Okay.
Because they're big and fluffy and red and they can be very frightening. To let the child direct what the interaction is going to be. And they have to take some time with a certain age range and with kids of different abilities to take that time to allow the child to see that they're safe and that they're leading the interaction. So, for instance, my husband will sit there very quietly and let the child touch the hand
and the beard
and the beard and whatever.
Sometimes it's the facial hair that intimidates.
Absolutely, but he gets very still so that no big eye movements.
Right.
We have that stereotype of Santa being the ho ho ho. Well, that can terrify a child out of 3 years of sitting on a Santa's lap.
Of course it can.
So they're supposed to be trained to be very still, very quiet, and allow the child to do that. So I just want to say I'm thrilled that the elf was fired as well as the Santa, because it's the elf's job, and I know this firsthand, to communicate what's happening between the family and the Santa.
Okay.
That is the elf's job.
So the elf is truly Santa's helper.
Yes. And
this is not a myth. This is a real thing.
You need to be on the job. You need to be communicating with Santa and with the family to know what's going on.
Okay.
It was that elf's job to be the intermediary to make sure that that child had the experience that was owed to them.
Okay.
My heart bleeds over this. I'm reaching out to the family. I've already asked if Pupcake would like to come on the show.
Oh, we are so into Pupcake. He's going to be sitting right here.
But I know of a Santa experience that would help, because this child was devastated and cried.
Well, unfortunately, they're saying even she's so upset she doesn't want anything to do with Christmas, which is just so sad. But
it is sad.
They're hoping that she can come back and get over this. Now, this brings up a very interesting question for me, and it might be something when we have Vince back on. Do we have him back on before the beginning of the year?
We're scheduled to have Vince next week.
Well, I think I'll keep this for then.
Okay.
Dealing with the concept of Santa.
Yes.
Wyatt is 13 now. He just turned 13. He writes Santa letters every day now around this time of year. We mail them to the North Pole, and he's 13. So I think you're all kind of getting, without me kind of spelling it out, we're being very careful what I'm dealing with and when do we get to the big talk. You know what I mean?
We're in the same boat.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we're in the same boat, because I don't know whether the person in question is letting us think that. I keep asking, and it's very interesting the responses that I get.
Well, I did say, and it's
goes.
kind of interesting when your child's favorite book and Christmas movie is The Polar Express, where the whole theme is believe.
Right.
So, and because our kids love stories and love fantasy and often latch onto that, when do we break when do we break that fantasy, and how do we do it in the appropriate way? So can we talk to Vince about
we
that?
Absolutely can talk to Vince about that. And can I just say that while I love the movie Polar Express, I also hate the movie Polar Express.
Okay.
I hate.
Kind of scary.
I hate the fact that the child goes outside the house and accepts a ride from a stranger to go he doesn't know where.
Well, that's true.
In this day and age, that's really the setup for the movie. I understand that there's a book, but it's bothersome to me.
Right.
For that age range of kids.
The book is wonderful, and I happen to have known Chris Van Allsburg, who was a very interesting guy. And anyway,
yeah,
I don't need to say more about that. But
and moving on. Anyway,
very interesting in that I believe that there might,
okay,
might be some things about him that fit with the show.
Okay. In any case, we're terribly running out of time. Okay, just looking at some of the questions that we got that I don't know the answer to. But it reminds me that after we got off the air with Ann from Learning Circle Kids, I did want to remind you guys that we have some codes to give away for the Toy of the Hour, which is the Reader Bee.
Yeah, and we can't recommend this enough. If I could go back and have Wyatt do this, and I may still have him do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Yeah. And it's very affordable, $1.99 but we do have some to give away free. So if you want to win that, remember, just like any of our Toys of the Hour, make sure that first you sign up for our free newsletter and then email me, s.penrod@autism-live.com, so that you can write me an email and tell me why you want it, who you want it. And for this one, I'll just need to have the email so I can send it back to you. So we'll pick at random from the responses that we get so that some people can get some free Reader Bees, which I think would be wonderful. Now, we did want to leave time here at the end, and I think we only have a couple of minutes here to talk about the recipe that we have on the blog right now.
Okay.
I have been talking to you guys about a series of products that have just been flipping my switch.
Which Shannon has been cooking for me almost every Wednesday, and then I eat it for my lunch.
And can I tell you that I cooked this for you last night, and some people ate it when I was out of the house, so that's why I don't have it for you. This is why.
Did they know? You should have put for
No,
Nancy.
they thought it was for dinner. But so I'm talking about.
And Wyatt loves them because you give me enough to bring home.
Explore Asian noodles. Okay, and so this is the pasta that I used in the blog, the current blog, organic edamame and mung bean fettuccine. And this is my favorite of all of the pastas. I know it's like, how do you pick a favorite child, right? But this is my favorite. And on the blog right now, we have the recipe. And you inspired this recipe because you talked to me about taking prosciutto and cooking it and putting in some shaved Brussels sprouts.
Yes.
And so we morphed it a little bit. And I also put in a rendition of it that I did with broccoli. And because I didn't have prosciutto.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure if my son would do
or
prosciutto.
Brussels sprouts, you meant.
But I did. I did. The recipe shows Brussels sprouts, but I also did it with broccoli.
With broccoli.
It was fabulous.
Yes, and let me tell you, you don't have to use prosciutto. You could use bacon bits, and you can also use sausage, ground turkey sausage.
And I did turkey pepperoni.
Perfect.
Which was fabulous.
Perfect.
And can I tell you that our house smelled like an Italian restaurant? And I used Daya cheese.
Daya cheese. Is it Daya or Daya?
Well, I've seen both.
Okay.
But I like to say Daya because I don't like Daya.
Wyatt loves Daya cheese, the cheddar, and now they've got like a
there's
jack.
a mozzarella and there's a jack now as well.
He likes the
And
spicy.
so I took the shreds and it made this Alfredo sauce that was heaven divine smelling, and I put some red peppers in it too, and it was so good that I made some for you, and my husband and my son ate it.
All right,
so
well, I won't
is that
blame
a
them.
testimony for how good this recipe is?
It really is. My
And it
husband
looks
can't
very
tell
festive.
the difference between a regular pasta and this pasta, and all non-dairy, all gluten-free, and the variations are great. Oh, the other thing you can do if your child likes olives is saute some olives with the Brussels sprouts or the broccoli and the prosciutto or whatever meat you choose. You can mix it up.
And I gotta say, one of the things that I love about this recipe, for a lot of you that have been writing in and saying, I don't know about dietary and that you might be doing a specific carbohydrate or a modified Feingold, for a period of time we had to take Jem off of anything that was tomato. There was no tomato sauce in anything that we did. And, it's hard sometimes to find out, what are you gonna put on pasta? And you don't always wanna do like a mac and cheese, but want a little bit of something cheese-wise, you can use the the day of cheese. And this, there's no tomato in this.
Right.
So
My son doesn't like
reactive,
tomato.
you
He
know?
didn't like ketchup. He didn't like tomato.
Oh my goodness, it was so good, you guys.
It's
and
really
I love
good.
the texture and the mung bean and edamame pasta. It's organic and it's lower carbohydrate. It goes into the bloodstream in a
High
different
protein,
way.
right?
High protein. So great for all of us. Great for absolutely everybody. Great recipe for the holidays. It really felt
Yeah.
very festive. So thank you for giving us the inspiration for that recipe.
Yeah, and it's pretty with the green vegetables. And
Yeah,
like you
it's
said,
green
you
and
put red pepper. Yeah.
Red pepper, and then the pepperoni or the bacon or whatever is sort of a red on top as well.
Yeah. Any turkey sausage.
So that
anything like
is
that.
on the blog right now. Check it out.
Okay.
And we've reached out to Exploration, and on our homepage, if you cycle through there's a rotating banner, and when it comes up Exploration, if you click on that, there's a coupon there. It's a hidden coupon.
Okay.
So you can try this pasta and get it even cheaper. So love that. And we love the folks at Exploration.
Yes, we do.
So we're winding up here. Just want to take a couple of seconds to talk about next week. We're scheduled to have Vince Redmond on, and so we're going to talk about some of those holiday issues. We will be doing a Toy of the Hour as well then. Make sure that you're participating in the Toy of the Hour. Remember, you got to sign up on the free email list and then email me to tell me which toy you want and why you want it. We've got some amazing toys that we've been giving away and some that are coming up. We've got even more Legos coming up, and tomorrow on the show, Brain Parade is we have them on the show, and they're going to be featuring an app that's called See, Touch, Learn. It's going to blow your socks off. It's visually stunning.
Great.
Absolutely beautiful.
All right.
So we'll have Brain Parade on tomorrow.
Watching.
Absolutely. Oh, it's absolutely phenomenal.
Okay.
Very fun. And I also want to remind everybody that ongoing Autism Acts of Love Challenge.
Yes, Autism Acts of Love Challenge.
Are you starting to get some now? Some of my friends are finally getting
Yes,
theirs,
they
and
are.
It's exciting to
and
see
some of
people
my
do
friends
it.
are doing it,
It's
and
fun.
we've had, I know Howie Hoffman from Exceptional Minds just did it and posted it, which was
Yay!
great, and all kinds of people are doing it, and then we're getting donations as well, which is wonderful.
Truly remarkable. How much time do we have, Kelby? 45
seconds.
We still have time.
Oh,
I thought we were out of time.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it's really important. We were talking earlier about not stressing about the holidays.
Yes.
So keep in mind, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to make 2,000 cookies. You don't have to go to every holiday event you're invited to. You don't
edit.
Right.
Edit is the word
yes.
of the season.
Edit. Do it before you fall over with exhaustion.
Yes, absolutely. So can't wait to see you tomorrow. Don't forget, Dr. Adele Nadowski, Dr. Jonathan Tarbox will be with us, and Brain Parade is bringing See, Touch, Learn. You're going to love it. All out of time. Give your kiddos a hug from me.
And yourselves a hug from me. See you next time.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.